Hello, hello, friends. Phoebe, I just want to make sure I can start my, blabbing, so I'm gonna wait. Cool, perfect. Aw, thanks! Hi, everybody, my name's Christina Costello. I am a remote voice actor. I have worked the last 2 years completely from home, which is pretty darn cool. Some notable roles I have done. You may know me as Collei in Genshin Impact. I have also recently worked on a pretty cool mobile game called Path to Nowhere as two characters, Serpent and Mess. I am in the anime Spirit Chronicles as Alma, who is a little cutie with a giant hammer. And I have done some other games and anime, and they've all been done in my pajamas. So I was thinking if it's cool to ask questions in the server event chat, and I will talk because I want to be an open book, and I think that it's hard to sometimes get the information you're looking for on the internet, even though there's a lot of information. I think it's cool to hear from somebody who has done it, so if anybody has questions, let's do it! What made you want to become a voice actor? That is a good question. I have wanted to do acting for a really long time. I actually came from on camera. I've been doing on-camera acting probably since I was about a teenager. And it's incredibly competitive and very intense, and also very hard on the body. About 4 years ago or so, I was on set for like 12 hours a day, and I kind of realized, this is really rough. I think I need to maybe look for other avenues so I can still act and be creative and do what I want to do without sacrificing my legs. So I ended up kind of looking more into voiceover and realizing that it was something I could do. I've always loved cartoons and video games and animation and anime, and I've always wanted to be a part of that world, but I thought you had to live in Los Angeles, and I am in Boston, so I didn't really think that was possible, and Boston had a pretty good on-camera scene, which is why I kind of went that way. And then I ended up doing voiceover, and here I am, 2 years later, still in my pajamas. Literally right now as I say this. How did you become, insanely talented? You're so sweet. Thank you so much, Grant. Do you have an agency? What do you suggest for beginner voice actors who want to try and make their way into the industry? I am not represented by a Los Angeles agency, actually, at all. Which I think sometimes people are surprised to hear because they feel that you need an agent to get a lot of the work I've done. Everything I've done has been a product of networking, people being kind enough to recommend me without me knowing, and just kind of being pleasant in the industry, as weird as that sounds. Something I hear about myself a lot, which is nice because it's not something mean, is, oh, Christina's really nice to work with. She makes jokes in the booth. She's really nice. And that's, like, very important to be known as somebody that's nice to work with. It's been a challenge. I have had many nights where I cried over not having an agent. But I hope in 2023 somebody wants to sign me, so we'll see. For beginner voice actors who want to try to make their way into the industry, my biggest thing is honestly, Phoebe, I'll be your agent, thank you. My biggest thing is honestly remembering that there is room for everybody. It's really easy to get lost in the comparison game when you first start out. You look and you see so-and-so booking 25 animes, and you're like, wow, I am not good. I shouldn't try. That is not true. It's not, and it's really easy to fall into that trap. So it's really important to continue learning, going to events where you can network and be heard, and kind of just putting yourself out there. I think the biggest thing for beginner voice actors is getting your setup squared away to get that experience, and networking, because everything I've done is because I've met somebody that's kind of like allowed me to be on a roster. And you never know when you're networking. That's like a secret I finally figured out, because I keep saying I don't know how to network. I just know how to talk a lot. That's my talent. But I found out networking is talking a lot, so I did it. Tina, luckiest girl. Yeah, I feel pretty lucky. What was your absolute favorite moment working with Chris or Brooke? Oh yeah, they're so fun. So a lot of time working. Chris and Brooke are the directors on Genshin Impact, and in Genshin I voice Collei, one of the playable characters. One of the things that I've taken with me from those sessions is my Boston accent likes to pop up a lot, and Chris is from Massachusetts originally. So every time I said something that had an accent, he would repeat it back in the thickest Boston accent humanly possible to me, and that's how I knew I messed up. And I thought it was so silly, but it made things so much less stressful. Because I really am I got into that booth and I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't good. I didn't realize it was Genshin, because you don't know when you book it as a playable. I didn't know what I booked. I saw a pretty anime drawing and was like, amazing, anime! So I was a little thrown off. And it made it a lot less nerve-wracking. I guess they get made fun of, but I knew it was because they felt comfortable with me, which helped me feel comfortable. So that's probably my favorite. I don't know if that counts as wholesome, because I definitely got, like, my own accent yelled at me sometimes, but it was fun. It was really fun. How much overall did you spend on a startup booth? So my starting up story is a little different. My boyfriend does music. I stole his equipment to start. He had an XLR microphone already and had an interface. So yeah, I'm a thief. So I kind of was like, hey, I need those things. Can I use those things? So I never started with like a USB, but that was just because it was available to me to steal. I know, I stole. Which is why I often thank Brian for my voice acting career, because I used his stuff to start. The first XLR mic I used a Shure SM7B with a cloud lifter, which helped it not be too quiet, but it blocked out a decent amount of noise because I didn't have like the best setup, honestly. To start, I was using like a corner of a room that we treated. It was quiet because we live in a basement apartment, so that kind of helped. Most recently, I have had a booth built. I find that it is cheaper to have it built than to go the studio bricks route, and I have not had a complaint with that, so that has worked out okay for me. But so my advice is borrow long term. No, definitely find things that are affordable and that work for you. That's really important. What's it like auditioning for being in huge projects? Honestly, I'm going to be very blunt. I almost never know what I'm auditioning for because everything uses a code name. So, unless I like recognize the art, I'm never very stressed out, which is kind of nice because most companies will use a code name to protect their IP. And I am not. Some people are very talented at figuring out the code names. I am not. I believe them. I think those are the name. I've been tricked many a times, and then thrown off. So that's kind of fun. And I think that helps too because you're not focusing on the name. There's been times I've kind of recognized the art and been like, oh, is this blah, blah, blah? But I'm like, no, I don't want to know, honestly, because then I'll get stressed out. Because I'm definitely someone that carries a lot of like, I like the thing and now there's pressure. I liked Genshin before I was in Genshin. If I knew it was Genshin, I probably would have done really bad. I probably would have blown the audition. Yes, we will get representation. Heck yeah. Well, Phoebe's my agent now, so I don't. Have you considered directing your own project? I have not. I am kind of Let me try talking again since I talk for a living. I have tried dipping my toes, like, recently into, like, the Q&As and that kind of stuff. And kind of trying to help with, like, free classes. I don't feel that I'm in a position to ever charge anybody money for my knowledge because I don't have a lot of knowledge, if we're being honest. I'm just trying my best. So directing is far off. Someday I really would love to do ADR directing, though. That's my secret for this class. That's something I find really interesting and really cool. Will I ever? I don't know, but I would like to. I want to hear the Boston accent. It comes out by accident. I never thought I had a Boston accent until I worked with Kirsten Brooke. That was like my wake-up call that I do have an accent. Like sometimes I'll just drop the R, like the generic accents, like pack the car, but like I don't talk like that, thankfully. Because of my high-pitched voice, I feel like it sounds like Paimon has a Boston accent if I had one. What was it like to get the voice in Genshin? I've seen a video mention that you knew Collei before. And yes, so I did know Collei from the manga. Genshin has a webtoon slash manga on webtoon, and it's like the backstory of Genshin, and it's very Collei focused, and I read it and really loved Collei. She's very sassy, depressing, all those good things in a character. As far as how I got the audition, I'm gonna be totally blunt. I don't know. I don't know if somebody referred me and because they were looking for higher pitched voices, and that got me on their radar, so I ended up getting an audition, or honestly, I don't know how it ended up in my inbox, and I wish I was lying, and I was like, there's a secret, but I don't have a secret. I don't actually know, and I didn't know it was Genshin. I thought it was Genshin by the art, but I honestly wasn't, like, sure. Because they are one of the ones that use code names, so. At least it wasn't the hoodie. Oh, no, I've stolen hoodies, don't worry. So you don't know what you're auditioning for a lot. Yeah, no, a lot of times it's, I mean, there's, some projects, I think that, like, anime, for example, what I do see of remote anime will tell you what you're auditioning for usually, but like video games and animation will either be like untitled blah 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 thingy by so and so, and you're like, okay, that gave me nothing, or like quirky code name based on an item in the game. Ha ha ha. I don't know, green tea lemonade, and you're like, okay, sure. Whatever that is. So that's not always super helpful. What kind of skills do you find helpful? Singing or any other vocal talents? I personally sing, but on like a character level. The first voiceover job I ever had was singing for a kids nursery rhyme channel, and that's how I fell into voiceover, actually. And it's a client that I still have to this day. It's been 2 years. They're really lovely and very funny people. And they have helped me not be broke, so I appreciate them. I do not think that singing is necessary, but I think vocal lessons, like a singing class or with a vocal coach, really helps everybody because it helps you find where your voices resonate and where they come from. The knowledge I learned from vocal classes have helped me figure out how to access different parts of my voice that I don't think I would have figured out on my own. And honestly, maybe people are just smarter than I am and they can do it without vocal classes. I'm not really sure. But I personally have discovered a lot of my range from doing vocal classes. That has made a really big difference for me. I don't think I would have been able to access any of my lower range at all without vocal classes, and I very recently got to do my first, like, hot lady role, and that was really cool, but I don't think I would have been able to do that role if I didn't learn where that placement was, because I sound like this naturally, and this is how I talk, so, and that's okay. It has its perks. I voice a lot of children. And I like to because they're silly and ridiculous, and children in animation and games are the funniest characters possible. Truly. Swag Agency. Yeah, Swag Agency has an applicant called Grant. You should check Grant out. Right now I'm just doing little how to take your classes. I'm not reading things out loud. I'm terrible. I am literally just doing stuff like this. I am going where people ask me to show up and for like free or like classes like this. I am going to be doing a second Q&A in the future because I am doing an hour for this one because I am chronically ill and I feel like poop. So I will be back to answer more questions, and hopefully I'll be back after that too. I'm hoping to find some places that would do like free classes because I really don't want to charge at this point. So I'll post stuff on the interwebs. Follow me on Twitter. That's where I post stuff. Do you have any advice for new voice actors? Get to know your voice. Get to know your strong suits, because it's really important when you're auditioning for something to do a voice that you're comfortable with and that you can maintain. It is really important when you're starting out to show your range, but like a realistic range that you can do. Something that you can maintain and that you will not lose in the middle of a session, because if you come in and do this amazing audition and you can't maintain that voice, just for an example, it's a raspy boy voice and it gets tiring and it's a 4-hour session. If you don't know how to do that healthily, you are not gonna keep that job, and that's a bummer. And you don't want to be known as somebody who couldn't maintain that voice. A lot of self-practice is really good. I used to, and I still do this, honestly. This is something I learned from on camera, but I think it translates really well with voiceover when you can't afford a class and you just want to practice. If you find a monologue on YouTube from something that you like and look it up and get the words to it, do it yourself first, how you would do it, make your choices, and then watch and see what booked. Because I think it's really interesting and it helps you learn different techniques that you wouldn't have thought of. And that's something I took from on camera work, and I think that has helped me a lot. It's really cool to be like, here's the choices I would make, but what booked? What choices were they looking for, and how can I take some of these techniques that this other actor used and learn them for myself? I think that's a pretty cool thing. Oh yeah, I did see that Extra Terrible had some ADR direction class. I have to get less shy. I know I don't seem shy. I'm actually, I'm an anxiety talker. So I talk when I'm nervous. It has carried me through a lot, thankfully. But I don't think it would carry me through directing. So I need to get a little bit better at that. Aside from getting yourself into them hot agencies, do you have any bigger goals going into 2023? I personally, and I think this is a fun goal for anybody, not to like push my goals on everybody here. I really would like to be a part of something that would excite me as a child. I want to do something that childhood me would be like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing in the world. That's my real goal for 2023, honestly. Whether it's a game or a show. I don't think a commercial, I don't think I cared about commercials as a child, but maybe I did. A toy, something like that. I want to book something that excites my inner child. That's my ultimate goal for 2023. And I find setting goals like that make it more fun. Other goals tend to stress me out, I've learned. I try to set realistic goals for myself too. Where instead of like, definitely get an agent in 2023, I have like, definitely reach out to an agent in 2023. I try to make my goal stuff I can control a little bit. Besides for, the big, please your inner child. But like, I liked a lot of things as a kid, so I feel like I have a pretty good shot. How do you practice voice acting or your voice warm-up? This is where vocal lessons, I think, come in really well again. I do pretty generic, like, singing warm-ups, honestly, to warm up my voice. Where they do, like, you press the key on the piano when you try to match the pitch, or you do a monologue to warm up your voice. For example, right now, my voice is not warmed up, and I'm already losing it. That's mostly because I'm sick, but, same thing. So I think that it's really important to make sure your voice is warmed up, especially before a session. Sometimes, I'm going to be honest, before an audition, sometimes I just get up and do it, and you're really not supposed to do that, but sometimes I book those, so I don't know. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to do things, but I do think that warming up before a session is important because you don't want to lose your voice during a session. If you're losing your voice during an audition, you can stop, right, and come back to it. Unless you're also me and you wait till the last minute, because sometimes I do that too, but don't do that. do as I say, not as I do. Where do you find these casting calls? Where do you get a chance for it? Genshin? Was it the referrals? And P2 player-to-player sites. My casting calls are from planting seeds the last 2 years, if I'm being completely honest. I took a lot of classes, which, from Ace Studios actually is where I took them because they were casting director classes specifically. I focused my limited income, stressing that, on casting director classes to try to network more. And eventually I was able to get on some of those rosters, and then when I was first starting out, I did a lot of Twitter auditions. VA, I'm gonna put the VA casting RT. I'm gonna put Twitter here. This is a Twitter account. It's run by my really great friend Risa May. And Risa makes sure those are paid castings, which is really, really cool. So those are all ones that will pay you. I've used Casting Call Club when I was starting out too. They have really good resources for like indie projects. For Genshin, again, I honestly don't know. I know that sounds so like I'm making it up, but I swear on my soul, I don't actually know where the audition originally came from. I do think it was a referral. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, but I don't know. My guess, this is like a hypothetical situation, is that they were looking for a higher pitched voice, and somebody who was already on Genshin was like, oh, Tina has a pretty high voice. Have you ever looked at her demo? And then they probably clicked it and went, yeah, that is pretty high-pitched. I guess we'll email her. That's my reenactment of what I think happened. Maybe it was a little bit different, but that's my theory of what happened. They were like, yeah, let's click this. Oh, yeah, that is high-pitched. And then I got to audition. And then I didn't know I was auditioning, and I literally didn't know it was Genshin until I was in the booth. I thought it was Genshin, I hoped it was Genshin, but I did not know. And I got in the booth and I was like, I don't want to be rude, but like, can you tell me what this is? And they did, thankfully, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're like, oh, I'm sorry, it's Project XYBDYU2. Just keep an eye for your voice. And you're like, I don't know what to do with that information. How am I ever going to find this? And then you email the studio periodically to say, hey, do you know the real name of this yet? And someday they tell you. And sometimes they don't. So there are some projects I've been in that I do not know if I will ever see, unless I chance it by accident. As a singer, what are some of the most important singing techniques you use in the booth? I think really finding where my voice lives. Like, when you're trying to hit a certain note and you can feel the difference between your head voice and your chest voice and like feel where things like resonate in your vocal cords, learning to actually feel that difference. Because before I did vocal lessons, I had no idea what anybody was talking about, if I'm being completely honest. Like in classes, I remember taking a class with a other voice actor and they were like, yeah, you can feel in your chest. And I was like, I literally don't know what you're talking about. I don't know how to feel in my chest. What are they talking about? And that had me end up going back to vocal lessons and asking my vocal instructor, hey, like, what does this mean? So I think being able to find where voices live, and I can find them quickly now. I think that's probably what I use the most. That and like vocal warm-ups from singing, I think are really helpful. Because if you can maintain singing for a long time, you can definitely maintain talking for a long time. So that's kind of like, I'm really a firm believer in like singing vocal warm-ups. Just to add on to that, I don't keep all my auditions. I don't have, because okay, so not only did I steal the voiceover equipment, y'all, I'm still using Brian's computer. So I don't save all my auditions. So I don't take up all the space on the computer. I bought my own equipment now. All my equipment is mine. The Mac is not. I'm still long-term borrowing, if you will, on the actual device. So, but we share the new equipment, so that's cool. I think it evens out, but yeah, so I don't save everything because I'm still, I am a rogue. I am. I'm still borrowing some stuff. But I do save a lot of them, and I will listen back. I've put some like I try to put a couple per year in there to like listen to. So that's usually fun to hear, like my baby voice versus now. Okay, what should a beginner voice actor focus on first? Taking me, for example, in my bedroom with a USB mic. Focus on what I can do, invest in audio treatment, classes, coaches, and networking. Gotcha. That's a really good question. So I think that learning what your voice can do is really important, and investing in audio treatment. I think those are going to be the two, and that's just my personal opinion. I'm going to stress that I am not like the #1 voice actor in the world, and I wish I was, but alas, I'm not. So I think that audio treatment, though, is very important because you can make most microphones sound very good with good audio treatment. I would stress that audio treatment comes before microphones. But the voices you can do will carry you through. So I would focus on those both together. I think those are both very important. After kind of figuring out that, I would say that at some point you want to get like a beginner-friendly XLR microphone and a interface, and they do sell them like as a package on Amazon. I think it's like $135. I remember looking at this for somebody else, and kind of starting to build that area for yourself, because that's going to help you book larger scale jobs ultimately, right? Coaching and classes would probably come next to me. And you can network while you're working on projects, and you can network while you're in classes. But I think that really figuring out what your voice can do and your audio treatment, and then kind of pushing yourself to the next level, quote unquote, would be the order I would personally do it. And again, everybody is different. I came from on camera, so I came from a lot of acting training. So my like order of things was kind of weird, especially because the first thing I did was, steal. So not everybody can be a thief to start, but if you are not stealing equipment, I would definitely kind of invest in your audio treatment to build up that USB mic. Also, bye, thank you so much. Have you found referrals to be effective for marketing yourself, or your demos more effective? I'm a software engineer, it was more useless, so I'm curious if it's different in VA. I think that it's interesting. I think that when I was first starting out, that people mentioning me in other indie projects, or like even just tagging me when people were looking, I think kind of got me out there more. But as I've booked more, I am being booked based on my demo reel more, which I'm actually working on a new video game reel for that purpose, because I've done a decent amount of video games now. I was holding out because I'm cheap, let's be real. And I think it's important to not outgrow your demo if you can avoid it, when you actually pay a decent amount for the demo. So I try to make that last. Just like I'm still using the same headshots from like 6 years ago. I still look the same. I refuse to get new ones. So yeah, I think it really depends. Like I've been autocast more this year. And autocasting is when they listen to your demo and be like, oh, this voice on 35 seconds sounds like this character. We want you for this character. Great. I've been autocast more this year than the last 2 years I've done it. But when I was first starting out, I think I definitely got more places with like word of mouth. Maybe not necessarily referrals, because they weren't direct like, hey, you should hire Christina. It was more like, hey, I know Christina and they can do pretty decent high-pitched voices, or I've worked with Christina and they were really nice. That kind of stuff. So it definitely like kind of starts to vary. And it took me a while to like actually, a recommendation versus a referral. Absolutely, yeah. Definitely like a recommendation versus like a hard referral. I don't know how many, that's the thing. You will never know unless somebody tells you they referred you if you've gotten a referral. And most people will not tell you. And I'll tell you why. This is like a pop-up ad. And I'll tell you why. But at least for myself, when I refer people, I don't let them know in case they don't get contacted. right? I don't want to get somebody's hopes up. Because even if you're referred, it doesn't necessarily mean they're even going to listen to your stuff. And I don't want to be a source of like, I don't know, having somebody feel disappointed. So it's interesting. So you don't really know very often when you're referred. Some people do tell you, and I love to know. I'm nosy. Oh, bye, Grant. Thank you so much for listening. I'm nosy, and I don't think I'd feel like sad if I didn't get it, but usually people don't tell you. I'm missing stuff. What am I looking at? Okay. What's a good way to create a professional demo reel? So, my first ever demo reel was mixed. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm a thief. Okay, my first ever demo reel was mixed by my boyfriend because he does audio editing. So it was a cheaper way to do it. And it would. I know I am. I'm a thief. I don't ever stop. I do not ever stop. Even now, he makes some graphics for my streams, so I really don't ever stop thieving. I did eventually go to a friend who does demo reels that did like beginner friendly, for lack of better words, demo reels where they weren't too expensive, but they were pretty good quality. And I had that demo for a while, honestly. That one got me my first few jobs. And I'm trying to look up the person. Sorry, bear with me. Because I want to be able to give a shout out. Okay. I do not know if Patrick still does demo reels. So I may be wrong. It was 2 years ago. But Patrick, I'm not allowed to put a link. You bot. Ugh. Okay. Tonight on 60 Minutes, VA steals boyfriend's everything. Okay, there is the link. Thank you. The friend was Patrick. Patrick was incredibly kind and offered like beginner-friendly pricing for demo reels. And that demo reel got me very far until I eventually got my current demo reel. So the link is Patrick Sokol, who does audio engineering and who does a lot of beginner-friendly demo reels. My very first, not me stealing from my boyfriend, demo reel was Patrick. And it carried me through for a long time, honestly. Then I ended up getting a demo reel, my current demo reel, through Richard Tatum, who was wonderful to work with, but his prices are higher end. It's a higher end demo reel. And I would not recommend throwing that money down into your, like, this is the skill set that I'm going to carry with me. Like, even now, I'm doing a video game demo reel on a higher end so I can add more voices and play with my lower voices more, because I didn't really do it with my animation reel that much because that's not what I book normally. Another great person for demo reels when you're at the higher price range is Randy Greer. I'm very good friends with Randy, and Randy does fantastic work, but his prices are also higher now. So it really depends on like where you're at. But if you feel you're going to outgrow this demo, I would not yet throw a lot of money at it. I would throw 200 to 500 versus like 1,000 to 2,000, because like that's a lot. Or you can be mean and steal everything. So I don't know. Did I hit the questions? I think I got the questions. Let me know if you have any other questions. Yes, demos are expensive. It is crazy. Software engineering word question. Why isn't this automated? This should be automated. So sometimes clients will want you to export files separately and name them separately. And I know you can export everything separately, but it has like a name that it's given and you can't like tweak them the way that you want. I want to be able to just export everything with the name already, and I know that's not realistic, but that's what I want in life, because my goodness, it makes my head spin. I try very hard not to have to export things separately, or to charge more. Perfect! Please do! I will pay you. I'd rather pay you than suffer. I use Logic Pro, and I love Logic Pro because it lets me do everything separately, but it doesn't. I don't know how to name the things separately, so I just go in and rename them. Because life is tough. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'll bug you later. Thank you. That's very sweet. Questions. Let's go. Ask the questions. Thank you. Sorry. How often do you audition? Okay, there are really busy times of year, not the years. Oh my gosh. And there are really not busy times. Right now, like the week of Christmas and then the week after. I'm sorry, I'm not really rushing you. You're fine. The week of Christmas until like January 3rd, a lot of the bigger studios take the time off. So I have nothing going on, which is honestly magical because before that, I was trying to at least do. It really depended. I would either do like 5 auditions a day or like 30, depending on how much I procrastinated. Don't be me, don't procrastinate, because then you get really stressed out and have a day of suffering. So don't be me. Do not be me. I am not. No. Now, I have friends that have agents where they do anywhere from no auditions to like 10, 15 a day. It depends on what they're being sent. I don't know if the amount of time I have for auditioning will change if I find an agent or what. But I do feel the stuff I audition for is all stuff that excites me, and I'm very lucky to say that because I do belong to some pretty cool rosters. And I've got to work on a lot of games this year, and I never really thought I'd be in video games because it's more grounded, and I have, woohoo, this voice. So it's been a really cool year. And this is really important too. Do not compare what I just said to what you do, though. If that makes sense. It's really hard to like hear somebody say, I get this amount of auditions and not feel like, oh my god, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. Everybody has like a different place where they're at, and you will have really busy days, and there will be days where you're like, oh my gosh, I have literally nothing to do. And then if you're me, you go play video games and tell yourself it's research. And then you pat yourself on the back and you're like, I researched really hard today. I played 5 hours of Pokemon Violet and did the voices myself. Good job, me. I am so talented. And that's it. And those are pretty good days, I won't lie. So less VA-directed question. How exactly find the balance in your life between school, focusing on your career, and things you love to do? No, that's a great question. So, oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. Sorry, guys. I'm starting to sound like Ash Ketchum more and more. It's like, slowly I'm going to be like, and then you have to use Pikachu, and then Thunderbolt. I'm slowly getting there. But that's a really good question. So I am disabled. I'm very blunt. I'm very open about being disabled. I have a rare lung disease and my health is trash. I am the trash panda of the industry. That is my official title. I give it to myself, so it does not hurt my feelings. And I'm also in school. I am finishing studying for nutrition. I'm 3 semesters left, so it's like anatomy and physiology and all the classes to take because they're like not easy. And I voice act full time. And it is really hard. I have to be honest. It's really about allowing yourself the space to rest when you need to and do things you love to recharge. I classify doing things I love with resting, because it makes it easier on my brain to schedule. I have pretty bad ADHD, so I write everything down for myself, and then I ignore it, and then I write it down again, and that cycle continues until I do it. But it's, what if you just have motivation to do nothing? I have that a lot. That's a lot. I have executive dysfunction. We can be fancy about it. It's really hard. Yeah, getting started is really hard for me. And it's still, even if it's something I'm really excited about, I'll get like nervous and I won't want to do it right away. This might not be the best advice, but this is what works for me. I have so many alarms set on my phone that I literally annoy myself into doing tasks. Because once I start, I'm fine all day. But getting the initial starting like thing is a little tough for me. And I will also kind of just like, yeah, I annoy myself into doing things. I don't know. That's what works for me. Everybody kind of has things that work for them, but I definitely just like set a million alarms and bother myself until I can't ignore it anymore. Thanks for the Q&A. Thank you so much. Biograd, heck yeah. Does your lung disease affect your talking? No. I know this sounds weird. I know that doesn't make sense to actually say, but my lung disease actually just affects I'm immunocompromised, and I hold like pneumonia. I get pneumonia pretty easily. I do need to use my inhaler, but it doesn't really ruin my vocal. It might, honestly. Maybe no's not a good answer. I've had this since I was born, so I don't actually know what I would feel like without it. And I almost think that's a blessing because I have nothing to compare it to. I have always had a lung disease my entire life, so I don't know if I would sound different, and I don't know if I would like get less tired because I've never not had it, and it's incurable. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it does, but I never noticed, which is good. Of course, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate everybody listening. It means a lot to me. If I don't set alarms, I'd miss every meeting in a day. Yeah, I'm very alarm-oriented. Alarms keep me going. They help me not miss things. I don't know. And that might not work for you, but that's something that works for me. Oh, chronic bronchitis is no fun. Finding voices you consistently have to find ways, unique voices. Honestly, this might not be like the fun answer. Your natural voice is usually what you book the most of. It's cool to have unique voices in your pocket, but the people in the industry are leaning towards things that sound more natural and feel more grounded. For the most part, there's still very fun voices out there, do not get me wrong. Bless every time I get to voice like a young boy. But I find that with things moving towards being grounded, they want things that feel rooted in realism. Even if it's just like a more realistic little kid, it's high-pitched, but it's not Paimon, if you will. That's something that I've noticed as a trend. The industry also has trends that come and go. So I may be saying this, and as I'm saying this right now, the studios are like, we need more really silly voices, and we need more, I don't know, raspy little, I don't even know. But like, it always changes. So I think focusing just on what you do well is going to be the key. It's cool to have unique voices in your talent, in your pocket, but every voice is unique. There's no one that sounds exactly like you, so your own voice is a unique voice. Focusing on the acting before the voice is my biggest advice. And then as you do it, you'll find fun voices that you can do. And that sounds weird, but like, I've always stumbled on them by accident. My boy voice that I book a bunch was because I wanted to see if I could sound like Ash Ketchum, and it turns out I can't. It's like a Ash adjacent voice instead. And bad impressions or good voices. That's kind of something I keep with me. I hope to become a well-known VA one day. You got this! Absolutely! Oh man, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that taking things from personal experience really helps you have a more natural voice. It's not, and when I say natural sounding, I don't mean like it has to be how you talk. I mean it needs to be rooted in realism where you could realistically hear it coming out of a character. And that's different. There's also incredibly zany, fun, cartoony ones too. It really depends on what you're auditioning for. So being able to do both is great, but to focus and to start, I always say focus on whatever natural voice you have. Because again, yeah, it's unique. It's something special. It's your voice. Your voice is different from everybody else's voice. And that will help your sanity too, because for a very long time, I wished that I sounded like other people. I did not like my voice growing up. I did not like my voice when I first started voice acting. At all. Voiceover has helped me fall in love with my natural voice because my natural voice gets me work, and that's so cool, and I get to have fun because of it. So it's different for everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling. If you have another question, ask it, please. Otherwise, I'm gonna sip my energy drink. I'm so fun. I hope their voice acting will let you use your normal voice more if you feel more comfortable with it. Definitely audition with it. What type of energy drink? The good questions. Thank you. No, all the questions are good. It's Celsius. It's raspberry acai green tea. It's very tasty. I like it. Mostly I'm just tired though. Not Monster, no. I do like Monster though. I like all energy drinks because I'm always tired. Anything that keeps me awake. Battery acid. Hey, it's good enough to dissolve those batteries. It's good enough to get my heart pumping. Yeah. I said it. My natural voice is not quite the opposite. Cass is the bubbly. Yeah, I usually get, honestly, I usually get cast children. That's just where my voice fits, but I definitely have done lower characters recently, and I played a lot of characters that are the opposite of me. The most recent character I played has like a more sultry type of voice and like personality. I do not. I do not. You did cast me as a child too. That is true. Yeah, I have a child. It's just because this isn't the highest it can go. That's the like really high pitched voices are really easy for me, and it's easy to add a little bit of like child nuances and say things kind of funny and ha ha ha. And I can do a baby giggle. I voice a lot of babies, which is a really weird one, and baby cries. Very weird talent to have. People judge you in the booth, I think, but they also pay you money. So who am I to complain? Oh, I just say a lot of dumb stuff. Sorry, y'all. Exactly, like that. I could do a lot of weird stuff. It's a weird. It's a weird thing. Oh no, I don't know if I want that as a quote. I say some weird stuff, huh? That's okay. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you guys have any other last questions, I would love to try to give more information. I'm so new to doing Q&A, so let me know if I actually like said things that were useful, please. I can take criticism if you word it nicely. Would you suggest getting and learning how to use DAWs for audio editing? Yes. Get one and get comfortable with it. Because a lot of self-record projects, unfortunately, also want you to be your own engineer. So, especially like on indie scales, so it's really important to understand how to run one DAW correctly and well. I don't feel that you need to learn all of them. And quite frankly, people ask you which you're using, but I don't know how much they necessarily care other than if you can use it, if that makes sense. There are a lot of projects that will just have you send raw audio, but still understanding the DAW enough to throw a multi-click or something on it, or to work your gain correctly. I think it's really important to know. I've done some projects where I have they've recorded on their end and I've recorded on my end, and then they end up using my audio. So like, it's really good to understand your DAW. Duh, whatever, however you want to say it, I don't care. Oh, thank you guys, I really appreciate that. Voice acting. I would honestly focus on acting. The acting part of acting. I would do theater classes. I would do general acting classes. Those are the things that are going to carry you in voice acting, because a big part of voice acting is acting. And a lot of times we kind of get caught up in the voice part and we're like, but I don't do the funny voices and I don't feel like I do a lot. I would continue to expand that acting education. If they do like vocal health or like singing classes, that's a really good idea because it'll help you find those placements. But I think that a core in acting is the most important thing that you can really do. Yeah, there aren't like specific. I was gonna say I'm on an online college, so maybe it's different. So any physical acting classes that you can do, and like singing and vocal classes, or just doing a theater and doing plays and being involved in theater. I grew up doing a lot of theater, and a lot of physical on-camera acting, and I really do feel like that carried me through the industry because I didn't have to. I don't know. When remote first like became a thing, I was already trained in acting. I just had to figure out like the da and the stealing, etc. Do you have a favorite player musical? That I personally did. We did Shrek in my 8th grade year, and that was hysterical, and I got to be Fiona, and it was really fun. In general, I love Sweeney Todd, though. I think Sweeney Todd is super fun. You did Shrek in 8th grade, too, right? It's hilarious! I was Fiona, it was the time of my life, it was like, I literally, there was a year when I was making my resume recently, and I so badly wanted to put Shrek on my resume. Because it was just so fun. I'm like, excuse me, did you know when I was 12, I was Fiona in Shrek at a small middle school? Thank you for noticing. I am truly talented. Oh, you were Shrek? That's awesome. It was fun. It's a really fun play. Like, it was really fun. I had a really good time with that. That's probably that might be my favorite play, for being honest. I do love Sweeney Todd, though. I think Sweeney Todd is incredibly fun and dark and cool, and that's like my theater street cred. So I don't feel like I'm just yelling Shrek, but I think Shrek's my favorite. It's just so funny. Aw, Attaboy, that means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I definitely didn't think that I would be doing this as a job, if I'm being honest, when I first tried. I wasn't sure what the industry would have for somebody that had disabilities. So it was really cool. No! Phoebe, that's tragic. I'm sorry. I'm sure you did amazing, though, as those roles. I don't remember why I was Fiona. Oh, that was the first time I ever sang in public. That's what it was. That's what actually got me really loving theater, was Shrek. I can think my entire voice acting career probably to Shrek. So that's a pretty cool fact. Shrek in stealing my boyfriend's equipment. That's it. That's how I did it. Thank you all for coming. Those are the keys to success. And energy drinks. Shrek, energy drinks, long-term powering. Those are my words of wisdom. But thank you guys seriously so much for having me. It really means a lot that people showed up, I'm not gonna lie. And I will definitely be doing another one at some point, because I know normally these run a little bit longer, but I'm slowly starting to sound like this, so that lets you know where I'm at health-wise today. If there's any other like last questions you guys want to ask, please feel free to, and again, I will be back, so if you don't ask him now, ask him later. Or else. Yeah. I said it. That was weird. Or else. And if you say or else what, I've got nothing. So, Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. That means a lot to me. It's been really, really cool to be someone that can kind of be a little bit of hope for others with remote and, being disabled and doing voice acting. Or else you won't get into the swag agency. Exactly. Yeah, or else you won't get into the swag agency run by Phoebe. And it's very, very important. It's a very good agency. It's the top one. Representation does matter a lot. I really have been really happy to be a part of that. It's been a really cool experience. I definitely think the industry is moving in the right direction. It still has a long way to go with proper representation, but it's been really nice to be a part of it, and I'm excited to see what all of you in this chat do, because I am sure you will also be a really cool part of the industry too. And with that, I will go, I guess? But seriously, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I really, really appreciate it, and I had a really fun time. Oh, the Collei link! The GIF! I love it! Thank you guys. Have an amazing day, and seriously, don't give up on yourself, don't compare yourself to others, and keep moving forward. You will get there. And don't drink battery acid, like I am.